Do you experience fear of fear, where you are reactive or fearful of the physical sensations that come with anxiety, like a racing heart or dizziness? What if learning to experience those sensations on purpose, in a safe and structured way, could reduce how threatening they feel and help you feel more in control? You might hear the term interoceptive deconditioning and immediately feel a bit uneasy. It sounds clinical, intense, maybe even a little intimidating. And in some ways it is. But it is also one of the most effective methods we have for reducing fear of anxiety symptoms, especially for people who struggle with panic. Let's begin with a brief moment of gently noticing your body. Take a slow breath in and let it out softly. Allow your shoulders to drop just a little. Now bring your attention to your body as it is right now. Notice your heartbeat. You don't have to slow it down, just notice it. Notice your breathing. Let it move naturally. Notice any sensations in your chest, your stomach, your hands, or your face. You might feel calm. You might feel a little tense. You might notice sensations you usually label as anxiety. For this moment, simply observe them. Now reassure yourself quietly. These are body sensations. My body knows how to create and settle these feelings. I can notice them without needing to react. Take one more slow breath in. And as you exhale, allow yourself to settle into a place of reassurance. Interoceptive deconditioning is a method that focuses on the physical sensations of anxiety. The word interoceptive refers to internal bodily sensations, things like a racing heart, dizziness, shortness of breath, or feeling unsteady. The word deconditioning refers to reducing your reactivity to those sensations by facing them repeatedly and learning that they are uncomfortable but not dangerous. So in simple terms, this method involves deliberately bringing on some of the physical sensations associated with anxiety and panic, and then staying with them long enough for your brain to learn that you can tolerate them. Now, I want to say right from the beginning, this is one of the more intense exposure methods we use for panic symptoms. And because of that, it's very important that it be done under the guidance of a qualified mental health professional, especially when you're first learning it. What I'm sharing here is for understanding how the method works, not for attempting it on your own without support. Also, as I shared in earlier episodes, be sure you have your physician's clearance for these more intense methods. That said, when this method is appropriate, it can be incredibly effective, particularly for panic disorder. Here's why. With panic disorder, the core fear often isn't the situation itself. It's the physical sensations, the racing heart, the dizziness, the feeling of losing control. Over time, the fear shifts from something bad will happen to, what if I feel those sensations again? And that fear of the sensations themselves, which we refer to as fear of fear, becomes the trigger for more anxiety. It creates a loop. The more you fear the symptoms, the more reactive your nervous system becomes to even minor changes in your body. Interoceptive deconditioning works by breaking that loop. Instead of trying to avoid the sensations, you deliberately create them in a controlled setting. You bring them on, you stay with them, and you learn through repeated experience that you can tolerate them and that they will pass. Over time, your brain stops interpreting those sensations as dangerous. They become signals your nervous system can experience without sounding the alarm. But before this method is used, there's always an evaluation. Not everyone responds to artificially created symptoms in the same way. Some people might say, if I know I'm creating the sensation, it doesn't bother me. What scares me is when it happens unexpectedly. For those individuals, this method may not be as useful. But for many people with panic disorder, the sensations themselves are distressing, regardless of how they begin. And for them, this approach can be very helpful. During the evaluation, the goal is to see which sensations create discomfort and how intense that discomfort is. We start gently, slowly. We're not trying to trigger a full panic response right away. We're trying to find a manageable starting point, often around a level 4 or 5 on the anxiety scale. There are several ways to intentionally bring on anxiety-related sensations. Cardiovascular exercise is one method. Running in place or climbing stairs can create a faster heart rate and heavier breathing. For someone who fears those sensations, even a brief period of exercise can feel uncomfortable. Hyperventilation is another. Deliberate, rapid, shallow breathing can bring on dizziness or lightheadedness for people who are sensitive to those sensations. Spinning in place is another method for people who are reactive to feeling unsteady or dizzy. During an evaluation, we start very gradually. If we're testing sensitivity to dizziness, for example, we might begin with a single slow turn. Then we pause and assess. What sensations are present? How uncomfortable are they? What is the anxiety level? If there's little reaction, we increase slightly, perhaps 2 or 3 turns. Often for people who are sensitive to these sensations, it doesn't take much to create discomfort. Sometimes just 1 or 2 turns are enough to bring anxiety to a moderate level. If these methods do not create discomfort, then interoceptive deconditioning may not be the right tool. But if they do, and if the person is reactive to those sensations, then we have both a starting point and a method for working with them. In therapy sessions, these exposures are done in a structured and supportive way. Clear instructions are given. For example, you might be asked to spin a certain number of times, remain standing, and then tolerate the sensation for a set period of time. Perhaps 15 seconds or 1 minute. If the sensation fades before that time is up, you might repeat the movement to bring it back. After the set period, you would then use coping strategies to help your body settle, if it hasn't already. The goal is to gradually increase both the intensity of the sensations and the length of time you can tolerate them. After each exposure, we review what happened. What was the highest anxiety level? How tolerable was it? How quickly did it decrease? That information helps guide the next step. Often, even within a single session, people begin to see changes. Because in a single session, we can do 5, 10, even 15 exposures, since each one may be fairly short. The first exposure might feel very uncomfortable, But by the third or fourth repetition, the same sensation may feel less threatening. That's the learning taking place. The brain is updating its interpretation of the sensation. As progress is made in session, people are often assigned practice to do between sessions. These at-home exercises are typically started at a lower intensity than what was done in the office. And again, they're structured and gradual, just like any other exposure method. The idea is to build confidence and tolerance step by step. One of the most powerful outcomes of interoceptive deconditioning is a shift in belief. People who once feared panic symptoms begin to realize they can bring on those sensations, tolerate them, and even reduce them using their coping skills. When that happens, the meaning of the sensations changes. Instead of, "this is dangerous," the thought becomes, "I can handle this." That shift is significant because when the fear of the sensations decreases, the likelihood of panic often decreases as well. By the end of these sessions, I've had people able to bring their anxiety level to a 10 and reduce it within minutes. They find themselves thinking, "I can handle panic. I'm not afraid of it." And when that fear begins to loosen, the entire cycle of panic can begin to change. This method isn't for everyone, and it's not usually a starting point in treatment. It's typically introduced after you've built coping skills and experience with other forms of exposure. But when it's appropriate, it can be one of the most direct ways to change your relationship with anxiety symptoms. So consider your situation. Are you more fearful of the sensations or the situations that create the sensations? If you experience fear of fear, then this can be a good method for you. Your task, if interoceptive deconditioning is appropriate for you, is to determine whether you can artificially create the sensations under controlled circumstances, with a therapist experienced in this method who can guide you through an evaluation. Also, whether or not you use the interoceptive deconditioning method, it can be helpful to reassure yourself about the sensations. You can use the companion audio, reassurance for the physical sensations of anxiety to guide you. As we close today, take a moment to reflect. Take a slow breath in and let it out gently. You don't have to rush into any intense work. You're learning about the options available to you. You're building understanding, awareness, and readiness. Remind yourself, I can learn to tolerate discomfort. I can change how I respond to anxiety. I can build confidence through practice. You don't have to eliminate the sensations to move forward. You only need to learn that you can handle them. And each time you approach anxiety with intention, whether in your thoughts, your body, or the world around you, you're sending your brain a new message. I can experience this. I can stay with it. I can manage it. Until next time, keep practicing, keep breathing, and keep moving forward.